topics to move the needle professionally through live events hosted by our NAPW VIP members who are professional coaches. We couldn't be more excited to be offering you more networking and professional development opportunities in 2017. We encourage you to carve out the time to keep coming back to our online event because of its ease and ability to network from your office while on the road and even from the comfort of your own home. You will see at the bottom right of your screen below the chat box, the opportunity to download today's presentation directly from the room to your desktop. Since we only have 30 minutes together today, I want to get our session started by introducing you to this session's coach. Orly Amor is an internationally known speaker, business coach for public speakers, networking expert, and author of several books. Founder, she is the founder of the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce, the Social Wow Factor Conference, and the Global Mentoring Center. Soon after earning both MBA and law degrees, she dedicated her life and career to creating prosperity by helping others realize their own mission-based goals and dreams. Extensive experience as a certified behavioral analyst has made her indispensable as a coach to many influential corporate leaders. In addition to being a great public speaker herself and a great networker for the past 10 years, she has helped public speakers create their business model for public speaking. Her gift is to show them how to monetize their craft by taking it seriously and having what she calls business in a box for public speaking, thereby teaching them how to fish. Welcome, Orly. Good afternoon, and take the stage.
Well, thank you so much. Hello, ladies. I'm really excited about today because this is my first one with the NAPW, and I'm so excited. So, let's just get started, shall we? I have so much to share with you. So the three topics that I don't know why it went this way, but okay, so there we are. So the three topics that I do speak about are how to close the deal 98% of the time, which we'll cover today. Super exciting. And how to monetize your message through public speaking for entrepreneurs and public speakers. And how to network like a rock star and still have time to spare. Wouldn't we all like that, right? I find it to be very daunting sometimes to go to networking events because it does keep you busy. There's so many events out there. I don't know which ones to go to. So, little bit about background about me, which I really am not that boastful. I don't like to talk about me at these type of events, only because there's so much information I want to share with you and so very little time. So I did finish an MBA at McGill University. I'm from Montreal. I have a really cool background. I call myself a mutt because I'm born in Israel and I grew up in Montreal, Canada, and I've been living in Florida for 10 years and then New York. So yes, multi nationalities as well. Finished a law degree, and I was the youngest woman in Canada to receive the Businesswoman of the Year award in my industry of property management, which I did for 25 years. Yes, I might not look it. I I lost 217 pounds, and that's what led me to create the Health and Wellness Network of Commerce. You can learn more about it hwntc.com if you'd like to visit the website. I made multiple six-figure income and in repeatedly for a few years in a row in public speaking. So I really love to show people not only how to close a deal, but how to make money through public speaking, whether you're an entrepreneur or a public speaker. And I just belong to amazing organizations that are allowing me to meet amazing women and men that are influential and are doing great things, just like NAPW. And I've been married to the love of my life for the past 4.5 years. Yes, I live in Brooklyn, in New York, and I'm in Manhattan most of the time just because I love it. And now I'm really doing what I love. I'm very passionate about what I do, and and I just love to pay it forward. So I'm always helping others and giving back. And this is only one of my contributions today is to share that time with you and to give you as much information as possible. So let's get really continue. Um, Many things that I've done is radio shows, and now I'm actually launching my, and you guys are the first ones to know about this. I'm launching my own TV show, which is going to be called The Shift. Anybody from NAPO is welcome to actually be on my show and be interviewed. So this is like you're fresh off the package. You guys are the only ones who know about it right now as far as my TV show coming up. Follow me on Facebook to know more about when it's starting and all that good stuff. But yes, I've done many things, including the Social Wow Factor Conference, which is now going to be on land in New Jersey. And it's Find Your Voice and Make a Difference, which is a women's empowerment conference. To know more, again, follow me on Facebook and just call me anytime, really. I'll give you my number later. So, yeah, let's just continue. So, what is your closing rate now? Would you know what that is? And that's our first poll for today. So, you could not know because you've never really looked at it, or sometimes it's between 2 and 4 out of 10, or 4 and 6 out of 10, or 6 and 8 out of 10, or you're a rock star and you close every deal, every client you've ever been in front of. I am not saying this sarcastically. Some people are really rock stars. I cannot tell you how amazing it is when people know what is their closing rate, so they can see where they're going. So if you don't know where you are, and we're showing you some tools, how will you know when you where you're? I mean, how do you know where you're? If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you get there? And that's really what my purpose is. How do we know when we get to that amazing, amazing place where we are feel confident enough to go and meet with people and sell? And most people don't like to sell, to tell you the truth. The reason being is that they don't like the rejection part. So none of us like to be told no or maybe or I don't have the money right now. It's just what is going on. So it's really cool that we have the poll as far as 20% of you, and right now we are 76 of us on this call, and I don't know, our 20%, between 2 and 4 is 10%, between 4 and 6, 7%, between 6 and 8, 3%, and nobody closes 10 times out of 10, which is fine because obviously we're dealing with human beings and we got to understand that there's going to be some that are not going to close with us, or it could be just because they don't like my face. I don't know. I mean, it can happen. So I just don't take that personally, and this is why. We're going to learn about that right now. So let's talk about what is DISC. I'm certified in DISC profiling, and you might have heard of it before. And also you might have heard of uh, Myers-Briggs, or another one. There's also psychogeometrics. There's so many. Actually, there's about 7 to 15 of them, if my last count was good. And a lot of people know about DISC, D-I-S-C. So let's talk a little bit about each personality. I don't like to put them in a box, but it does give you a little bit of a guideline, okay? So I don't want you to think that I put everybody in a box. It's we do have certain criterias or talents in our own way of being that shape the way we talk to people and also shape the way we listen. Now we're going to learn about ourselves, but we need to also know about other people. So I'm going to share with you the 4 personality types. The D stands for direct. They're very they need direction. They don't. I'm sorry. They need direction, or they need to direct. At the same time, they really don't need much to make a decision. They're very direct. They know yes or no, and that's it. So with them, you might want to start with the bottom line. How much is it? I'm a D. I'm a very high D. So one of the things that I just want to know how much, and then I'll just make my decision from that. If I need more questions or if I need more information, I will ask for it. But other than that, they really know pretty much what they want and they decide pretty quickly. And those are really cool to have, right, as clients. Um, the influencer is the person that's kind of the social butterfly, but they also like to be stroked. They like to know that they did a good job. They like to know that they look good today. In the old days, where we were taught to how to sell, sales 101 was if you go into somebody's office and you see a picture of their family, you want to recognize the picture of the family and talk to them about that to get more personal. Well, with the influencer, you just have to tell them something authentic, which is maybe something that they look good in or that you like their shirt or whatever it is. Always be authentic. It's not about manipulating the conversation. It's more about being direct and authentic with people that you talk to. And maybe you recognize yourself in this. I'm an I, I'm very high I, meaning I love to be in the center of attention and I love to talk to people. So influencers really talk to anybody. I've never met a stranger. That's the cool part about that. The S is really the person that likes to everybody to get along. So why can we all get along? They're very calm and cool and collected. They actually suffer on the inside. They don't voice, they don't like confrontation. They also don't like to be pushed to anything. They really like to take their time. And they're always in limbo of questioning, should I, shouldn't I don't know. I have to talk to my husband, I have to talk to my mother. I mean, there's always something that avoids them from making that step or that initial step because they're only afraid of change. So don't hate them for that. That's the way they think. They're not they don't feel safe with change. They like stability. S, stability, right? And the C, as far as control, is the person that does not like control of other people. They like control of their environment. And therefore, and I like to talk about my aunt who, if she has something on her coffee table and you move it to the other end of the coffee table because you need to make room, she'll take it and put it back where it was. And that's because she needs the control of her environment. So I know you know somebody like that. And what happens is that they just like to control their environment, but they also need to understand everything about what they're being told. They question everything. They ask many, many, many questions. And when they do that, sometimes the salesperson gets frustrated. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't get frustrated. Take a deep breath because they need to know everything they need to know before they make a decision. I remember once one of my clients went to meet a future client of his, and the person was ready to sign the contract. And when he got there, the guy had the pen on the contract and said, yes, we're ready to sign, and I just have a few more questions. And inside of himself, he was fuming because he said, what do you mean more questions? I mean, we've been through this so many times, and you still have questions? And because he was ready to sign, and the customer had to, had questions, so he had to actually answer those questions. So I hear feedback of people talking, so if you can put yourself on mute, that would be great. Hopefully, because that's okay. Awesome. So one of the things that happened was that he could have lost the sale. And he remembered he had my voice in his head saying, just take a deep breath, let him ask his questions, and don't worry, you will sign the contract. And that's how it happened. He had to take a deep breath. He was really frustrated, but the best thing to do is to let them ask their questions. What they do in their head is they compartmentalize. See, the C stands for compartmentalize. And what happens is that you, what you see is them putting your whole idea, product, service apart. And then they put it back together in pieces that they have to fit in, like a puzzle. And if they don't fit, if one piece doesn't fit, then they have to ask that question and just need it answered. I hear a lot of feedback from people who have their microphone on. Please put yourself on mute so I don't hear the bing bang and so on. All right, let's move on.
Nobody has it to do.
Let me show you the grid. And this is really, really cool. All right. Um, let's talk about the combination of personalities because it's easier to know. All right. The DI and ID in this quadrant, it says change here at the top. You see that, right? And that means they do not like change. They adapt very well to change. So I'll give you an example since I'm in this quadrant and I'm a DI first. And that takes a little test to know how far you are in D or I or any of the others. When you're in this quadrant, what happens is that I don't like when people are late. So but if they are, what am I going to do about it? Yell at them? No. I just take a deep breath and deal with it. There's some personalities that don't like it when you change anything on them. Being late is just one small example, but I'll speak about another example with another personality type. So it's DI or IB. They don't like change, they adapt. Let's talk about the IS and SI. The IS and SI are people. They love to be around people. Don't put them behind a desk. They love to be, they're social butterflies. They need to be talking by the water cooler. They need to be talking at networking events. They need to be around people all the time. They're also very good at entertaining at their home because they just love it so much that they are the best hosts. It's really cool. Let's talk about the SC and the CS. They are the stability people, and being the stability, they don't like change at all. And one of the examples that I always give is my husband. He's in this quadrant. And once it was my birthday, and I told him that I have a client, and after my client finishes, I will be home, and then we can go out to dinner for my birthday. Well, as time flew by, I didn't see it, and I thought that because I'm a DI, I would find a way to make this happen anyway and be productive. So I called him up and I said, well, I'm not going to be able to make it. I just realized the time. Why don't you come pick me up and we'll go for dinner from here? And here we go. He was all frustrated. You told me that you'll be home and then we'll go from here. Now I have to go get the car, blah, blah, blah. But that's what, because they condition themselves to be ready for whatever it is that you're about to do. And if they condition themselves, they probably condition themselves for hours. So if you're changing that, they are freaking out because of it, because they need to condition themselves to the change. They don't like change at all. So just be mindful of that. And then there's the CDDC. They're the task-oriented people. And what it means, and I use it as a joke, but just please don't take me to my word there, because I just find that they're sometimes like the worst bosses to have, where it's not that they're not empathetic or that they don't care, it's just that the bottom line is more important to them, or getting to the point is more important to them. So I give an example of an employee that needed a day off or to take Friday off to replace her mom to take care of her grandmother in the hospital. So the way she went about it with me was, do you have a minute? My mom is working and then she doesn't have off very often. And then my grandmother's in the hospital and somebody has to take care of her. And I said, okay, well, what's the problem? She's like, well, I need Friday off. I said, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? So that's what happens here. They're just task oriented. Oh, you have to go early. You have to go to the doctor. Is my report on my desk? Or, did you send that, did you send that contract out? Whatever it is, that they're task oriented. So they want to know the bottom line. So I hope this is really cool for you guys. And I didn't talk about DS and CI. I'm going to tell you right now because I don't want to spend time on it. These are the people that you cannot read. You don't know if they're a D, an I, an S, or a C. You just don't know. You can't read them. You don't even know if they like you, hate you, nothing. You just don't know. Those are the people to run away from. Right away, I'm going to tell you, just run away. Do not do business with them. Run away. Because somehow, some way, they will falter. And then you will be very disappointed. So I'm trying to save you some heartaches. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about here is that if you think about a company, the D personality is usually either the manager or the owner of a company. The I is usually the salespeople because they're out there talking to people. They have to be out there networking and so on. The S's are customer support. They are the best at listening to people's problems and not getting frustrated and just looking for ways to help out. They're very, very good at that. That's what we want as customer support. And the C personality, we want to put them in the back office doing all the numbers, like the accountants and the bookkeepers, because they're so good at numbers. They're detail oriented. And if that brings it home for you, I hope so, because that's how you know who you're talking to. All right, moving right along. Let's go to the ego state. Now, I'm not talking about male and female ego state. I'm going to go through this really quickly because we're going to start with the child. The child ego state, we all have all five, by the way, so don't try to remember it. It's not necessary. The natural child is when Have you ever laughed so hard that your stomach was hurting and you were crying out of laughter? And if so, then that's your natural ego state. And that's like one of the coolest ego states to be in because you're laughing, you're happy, you're giddy, whatever it is. It's your natural way of being and it's your childlike ego state. The adaptive child is if you're in a corporate environment and somebody says something funny, but it's really not the time to laugh because it was probably only funny to you. And you kind of adapted the situation and not laugh and kind of tongue-in-cheek laugh, but you don't really want to show it because you're in a corporate environment. So you might, that's your adaptive child. And then there's what I call the little brat. We all have it. Why do I have to get up this morning? Why won't they listen to me? If some of you have kids, why don't they do what I tell them to do? If some of you have employees, why don't they just follow orders, or why don't they just follow, the process? Whatever it is, this is where that little child of us, the little brat, comes in and says, "Oh my God, I can't believe they can't get me." But that's just the way we are. We go through these all day long, all five of them. So let's go on to the parent ego state. The parent ego state is if you think about our parents, how they treated us, what they did for us. They basically they told us what to do. They gave us nurturing. They gave us education. Most of all, they told us, do as I say, not as I do. And sometimes we are in that ego state and we think that way about people. We allow ourselves to be late, but we don't like other people to be late, right? So we got to watch that ego state. And the best ego state to be in is the adult state. Have you ever felt like you're in the zone where you're talking, but everything is flowing so awesome with your client or potential client? You're actually just everything is amazing. You're on point. You're on. Your whole personality comes out. Your words are flowing out of your mouth. That's your adult ego state. You're not thinking about doing the dishes later on. You're not thinking about cooking for dinner. You're not thinking about anything else. You're really in the present moment, which is really the best ego state to be in. So I'm going to simplify this for you right now, and that's basically the rational or the emotional. Let's talk about the adult ego state, which was like the best one. That's one. That's it. That's all that fits in the rational ego state. You just have to be in the rational ego state, and you'll do great. If you are in an emotional ego state, that will kind of hinder. So what I tell people is, how do I get into a rational ego state when I'm going through so much during the day? The best thing to do is to take a deep breath. So let's just do that. And already you'll see your personality and everything else shift. And that's the same thing that goes with if you're in front of a person who's emotional, how do you get them to the rational state? Well, there's something in the human behavior that's called mimicking. If you take a deep breath, they'll just take a deep breath. And that's fine because that's going to make them come into a rational ego state. So that's like the coolest thing to do, and try it with people you know. It's hysterical. You're going to love this. So try it. I invite you to do that. All right, let's go for our next poll is how much do you like selling your product or service? I hate selling. I don't mind as long as I can pay my bills. I like selling but wish to do better. I love selling and have a good closing rate. I am a rock star at sales but still want more. So that's our next poll. So I hope that it's coming up and that you guys can vote on which one it is that you are going to answer. And as soon as the results come out, then I'll be able to I see you guys writing in the chat box, but really the poll should be up, right? Okay, thank you. So here is the poll. Go ahead and vote. I hate selling. I don't mind as long as I can pay my bills. I like selling but wish to do better. I love selling and have a good closing rate. I am a rock star at sales but still want more. All right, great. So we're going to move along and we'll get the results very soon. So how do DISC and ego states relate to what you're doing? Well, basically, it does, because even if you don't like sales, look at that. 13% of you don't like sales, and 9% of you want to just do better. 36 are like sales but wish to do better. So that's wonderful. Most people don't even like to sell, but I love this the poll here. And I love selling is 2%. I have a good closing rate, 2%. and I'm a rock star, nobody does. So it's the same thing as far as the 10 on 10. I don't want to go over, but let me really go very fast here. How do disc and ego states relate to what you do? It's about language. So we're going to cover that. And it's all about language. So as soon as you feel comfortable about reading somebody's personality and ego state, you will be able to at least start talking in the manner of which the person in front of you is listening. And it's about listening as well. So here we go. Poll number 3. Let's go through poll number 3. How many times do you follow up with a prospect before you give up? I really love this poll because I'm going to give you some statistics that are going to blow your mind. Um, After the second call, after the third call, after the sixth call, after the 10th call, or I never give up. And in my case, I never give up until they call the police and tell them that I'm stalking them or something like that. So I hope you understand. So which one are you? After 2, 3, 6, 10, or I never give up. Okay. So let's go to that poll, and let me give you some statistics while we're waiting for the results of that poll. Here's the sales follow-up. Wow, look at that. The results are that after 2 calls, 12% of you give up. After 3 calls, 18% of you give up. After 6 calls, 9% of you give up. After 10 calls, 1% gives up. And watch here what happens. Here are the sales follow-up statistics. 25% of sales are made on the first contact. 2% of sales. I'm sorry, I was reading something. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. And 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. Isn't that amazing? Look at how many of you give up before the 10th or the 6th. It's amazing. And watch this statistics. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. They actually just call once and that's it. They never follow up, or they got the business card and somebody said, "Yeah, call me, please. I want to know more," and they never followed up with that person at all. And 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. Right? It's just amazing. And the last but not least, the 78% of salespeople never continue past the third call. Just amazing, right? Well, here we are. The presentation, I guess, is closed. Natalie is going to come on. And these are just notes on what you could do at a networking event. So keep those things in mind that we talked about. They're all a part of what we just talked about. Here we go. That's for you, Natalie. Yes. Okay. Natalie, you want to come back? There she is.
So if you'd like a free 30-minute consultation on any topic with Orly, her information is right there. Thank you, Orly, for a wonderful session and amazing insight on how to successfully close a deal 98% of the time through profiling. You will see a link for our next eCoaching event on October 24th at 12 noon Eastern on what holds us back, 4 common obstacles to success, and how to overcome them with Gail Tolbert, executive coach and leadership development. Please go ahead and click the link and register now. Also, please make sure to go to NAPW and join our hosts and other attendees there to continue the conversation on the group activity wall. Look out for our communications for all upcoming e-events. And if you are interested in submitting to be an e-coaching host, please reach out to us at the email that you see on your screen. Thank you, Orly, and to the 1,000 members who registered for today's amazing e-coaching session. We look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Woo, awesome.